Okay, in this next video, we're going to look at the example where we have 2 points on a line, and the first thing that we're going to do is calculate the slope of the line, and second then we're going to use the slope and one of the points to write the equation in point-slope form. But even more than that, we want to proceed to, after we write the equation in point-slope form, we want to simplify it down to slope-intercept form. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So we're given this graph on the right, and we can see that from the point on the left, we're going to go down 4 and right 2. So that would be -4 over 2, and so our slope would be m is equal to -4 over 2, or simply just -2. Then we're going to choose either one of the points, and I'm going to illustrate here that it doesn't matter which point you use, they're both going to come out to be the same slope-intercept form, even though they start out as different point-slope forms. So let's take a look. I'm going to write my formula for the point using the point 1, 2. Alright, so using the point 1, 2, have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. I'm going to plug in my point on the left, which is 1, 2. So I'm going to write that as x1, y1. So first I'm looking for y minus y1, which is y minus 2, is equal to the slope, which is -2, times x minus x1, which is 1. Right? Now I'm going to write the write the point slope form of this line using the second point. So I have y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And you only need to use one of these, but I want to show you that it doesn't matter which one you use. Now if we had used the second point as our x1, y1, then we would have y minus y1. So that's y minus -2. Remember, it always gives the opposite sign. So y plus 2 is equal to -2 times x minus 3. Now again, if you look at these two equations in point-slope form, they appear to be different, but when I distribute and simplify, we're going to see that they should give us exactly the same thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute on the left. Y minus 2 is -2x. Then -2 times -1 is +2. Next thing I'm going to do is add 2 to both sides. And when I do, I end up with y is equal to -2x plus 4. And that would be the slope-intercept form of the line we see. Now I'm going to do something similar steps with the equation on the right. First I'm going to distribute, so I get y plus 2 is equal to -2x. -2 times -3 is +6. This time I'm going to subtract 2 on both sides, and when I do, I get y is equal to -2x plus 4. And you can see that regardless of which point I used in the point-slope form, when I simplify down to the slope-intercept form, then I have the same exact equation. So it doesn't matter when you're given 2 points, it doesn't matter which point you use. When you simplify it down, you will get the same. Alright, so let's look at a couple more examples of these. Alright, in this one, we're going back to using function notation again. And again, I read these points. F of 4 equals -2. And what that tells me is that when x is 4, When x is 4, y is negative 2. And when x is 8, y is 4. So first of all, I'm going to label these x1, y1, x2, y2. Now what's different about this example in the previous ones is that I don't have a slope. So the first thing that I'm going to need to do is to calculate the slope. Slope, remember, is m y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I can plug in my values here. y2 is 4 minus y1 is negative 2 over x2 is 8 minus x1 is 4, and so I will get 4 minus negative 2 is 6 over 8 minus 4 is 4, and that simplifies down to 3 over 2. So that's my slope. At this point, I've already demonstrated that it doesn't matter which point we use with that slope, we're going to get the same slope-intercept form when we simplify it down. So I'll start with my point slope formula. What? That's y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And I'll just pick the point on the left. Doesn't really matter. Y minus negative 2 is y plus 2 is equal to the slope of 3/2 times x minus 4. And that is my point slope form. But I'm not done writing a linear function. A linear function, we'll see in a second, we really need to solve for y. So we're going to take this a step further. So let's say that this is our first step in along the way to our final destination. Then I am going to distribute on the left side 3/2 x, then 3/2 times negative 4 is minus 12 over 2, which is the same as minus 6. So I get y plus 2 equals 3/2 x minus 6. The only thing I need to do at this point is subtract 2 on both sides, and move this down a little bit, and I end up with y is equal to 3 over 2x, sorry, it's not plus, it's negative 6 minus 2, which is minus 8. And so that is the slope-intercept form. You can say that's a linear function because if I know what x is, I can calculate easily what y is.